Hi everyone, it's me, Joe, again. Okay, this talk I think I'm going to go with, like, what it was like being me growing up gay back in the 70s. I mean, I'm 64 now, and my memory isn't all that great, and I tend to sort of stray from topic to topic. And if any of you have been watching my videos, you've seen me do that. You've heard me do that. And I don't want to make these videos as so structured and so organized that, I just want it to be like a talk with friends, because you are my friends, and I want you to feel the emotion, to feel how I feel. So that's the reason why I don't script any of my videos, and I just think of a topic and go with it. So anyway, me growing up gay. Like I said before, I always knew I had these feelings of different feelings from other kids growing up. I had a lot of imaginary friends. I lived in my imagination a lot. But I remember there was this time that, I was always closeted. I always knew I was different from the other boys in school, but I also knew that I enjoyed looking at the other boys in school. And sometimes that would get me in trouble because I didn't live in a very gay-friendly neighborhood. And at the time when I was in high school, and I sort of thought that I was gay, and that I sort of was wrestling with the notion, because there was like an inner conflict going on in my mind. It was like, am I, or should I be? Just the conflict. There's always this conflict that I felt. And anyway, when I finally realized, I didn't really accept being gay myself until I moved out of my parents' house and moved out on my own. And once I moved out on my own, I felt more free to express myself as a person. Because back when I was younger, I was afraid. I was bullied being grown up, because I always had this high voice. I always had, feminine ways that people teased me about. I got beat up a lot. And anyway, when I moved out and got out on my own, that's when I started exploring my sexuality. Now, I told you that I was going to share with you my hoe days. So I guess this is a great time to do it. So when I moved out, I lived in an apartment, and of course, my brother lived with me, and he was straight, but I came out to him first, because I realized that if he was going, this was after my parents passed away, and I moved out, and my other brothers have already had their lives. My middle brother was in Charleston in a special care school. So when he got out of that, he came and lived with me. and we lived in different apartments, but the one we moved into was in Wheeling because my job was in Wheeling. And like I said, he was the first person I came out to. And I just let him know right up front that I was gay. And I remember his reaction to it was just like, "Oh, okay, so what?" And he's like, "Okay." That's the way my brother was. Nothing really bothered him. He was always, I don't want. But anyway, there was a gay bar called Tricks in Wheeling. And I would frequently go there. I mean, the first time I went there, I drove because I was scared shitless to go into the doors because I knew as soon as I stepped foot in there, I would be accepting of who I was. I mean, I accepted myself, but to actually express myself to others was a different story. I don't know if I'm explaining this right, but it was just something that I felt that, there was still that confusion, that still that fear in my heart. So once I got up enough courage to get out of the car and walk through the doors, and I saw all the lights and all the men and all the camaraderie and all the fun and all the, I just felt in my heart, I'm home. I felt like this is a good place to be. So anyway, the first time I was there, I think I spent like maybe an hour at the most. I got a drink, checked everybody out, looked at things, see how things were going. And this bar had 2 floors. The bottom floor was the floor where it had tables and a bar, and it was sort of like sit down and meet someone and have talks and communication. And then when you went upstairs, that's where the dance floor was. That's where, there was another bar up there, and that's where they had the shows, the strip shows and the drag shows. So it was sort of like for all people, if you wanted to come to the gay bar and just, socialize with your friend, you sort of stayed on the bottom floor. But when you went up to the top floor, that's where it got a little bit more interesting. But anyway, I regress, as usual. So anyway, the first night I went there, I never went up to the top floor because, I knew from talking to the people there what was going on there. So I went home. So anyway, to talk about my hoe days. Okay. I lived in Wheeling, right? And this bar was I'd say about 3 to 4 blocks from my apartment building. So every Friday and Saturday, which was the busiest nights there, it was either I'd go, depending on how, curious I was, I would either go Friday and Saturday, or I would just go Friday or Saturday. So anyway, I would walk because I knew that I was going to be drinking. And I have a problem with drinking. Back in those days, I had a problem with drinking. So I knew that I was going to have a few cocktails and I was going to get pretty wasted. And I didn't want to drive there and then have to drive home under the influence. So I would walk to the bar and, enjoy myself. And then I remember this one time. I would always had the intention of just going there, having a few drinks, dancing. I love to dance, especially when I'm drinking. But it seemed like, I was 21 at the time. So, I would go there, enjoy myself, but it seemed like once I hit the dance floor, I would just listen to the music, shut my eyes, and let my body, go wherever it wanted to go. I was always musical. I was in the band. I sang. So I could feel the rhythm. I can feel the beat. I can just, go with it. But it seemed like the people around me found that rather enticing, they enjoyed watching in a way, because I would just be, and I wasn't shy about dancing. I would just go up on the floor, drunk or not drunk, I would just go up there and want to dance. And it seemed like every time I danced, somebody would either come over and start dancing with me, or sort of come off to my side and dance off to the side of me, and trying to pick me up. And of course, I found this kind of interesting. I found it kind of amusing. I liked it. I liked it a lot. So I would go to the bar, go dancing. Then after, I danced with a few guys there. One or two would catch my eye, and I would just, and they would, after the song was done, they would sort of, come up and say, "Hey, do you want to get a drink?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So we'd go to the bar, sit and talk a little bit, and I would find out, learn a little bit about them and ask them questions. They'd ask me questions. And so, I would be drinking, and I would be a little, getting a little tipsy there. And I would sort of say, "I walked here, so would you mind if you would give me a ride home?" And nine times out of 10, they would say yes. But this only happened like maybe, let's say, about 4 to 5 times. And I sort of was getting into, now the first time, it was the bartender. For some reason, he liked me. And I sort of liked him too. And after I asked a few guys for a ride home, and they turned me down, the bartender sort of came over the bar and sort of said to me, "If you need a ride home, I'll give you a ride home." And I said, "Okay." So anyway, he gave me a ride home, and we started making out in the car, and one thing led to another, but he never got upstairs. He never got upstairs to the house. We just sort of made out in the car. Then, like the second time, there was a time that, but anyway, there was a time that I met this guy. I was really attracted to him. He was really attractive. And he was kind of a shy type, and I sort of like the shy type because I'm an outgoing person. I'm a type of person that likes, in a way, I like to take control. I like to be not in control, but I like to make scared people or shy people come out of their shell and to come out of their shyness and to realize that, you don't have nothing to be afraid of. You need, so that's what I mean is like in control, because I would sort of talk to them and I would sort of say, try to be friends with them because they were because that's the way I was growing up. I was so shy and so timid around people that it prevented me from being me. And I regret that. And when I see that in other people, I try to do as much as I can to help them to break out of that shell, to break out of that. So anyway, we started talking and I started, flirting with him. He started flirting back to me. And of course, I did the old pickup line. I walked here. Would you mind giving me a ride home? And he said, yeah, sure. So when we got home, we went upstairs to, let's see, what was it? I was on the second floor because it was a 3-floor apartment. And I was on the second floor. I think in an earlier video I said I was on the 3rd floor, but I was on the 2nd floor. And Bobby and Todd moved in on an apartment on the 1st floor. But that was later. But anyway, when we got into our apartment, my brother was asleep. And I told him, I said, my brother lives with me. Well, I told him this at the bar. My brother lives with me. He knows I'm gay, so there's nothing to worry about. And I said, okay. So we started messing around, kissing in the living room, and I eventually went down on him, okay? I was trying to think of a nice way of putting it, but anyway. While this was going on, my brother happened to walk past the hallway and went to the bathroom and then walked back to his room. And this guy sort of freaked out and said, ended it right then and there and said, oh, who was that? And I said, well, that was probably my brother. And he goes, oh, and he started getting really shy, and then that was the end of that. So that was the second guy. Let's see, the third guy, if I can remember. Okay, same thing. He was a good dancer. I was dancing. He came up to me, and we started dancing, and he was a good dancer. He was showing me some moves on that dance floor that, that impressed me. But every move that he showed me, I copied it and showed him a new move. And so we were sort of like battling each other out on the dance floor. So eventually, the night wound down. We were talking, and I found out, where he worked and, what kind of business he was in and everything. And I sort of really liked this guy, which I liked all the guys that I went home with. That's just me. If I didn't like them by talking to them, that was it. We didn't talk anymore. But anyway, he gave me a ride home, and we got into the front door. And now, mind you, it was like, it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And everybody in the apartment was asleep, because everybody that was in the apartment was sort of older folks. So I knew they were all asleep. As soon as we got in the front door, it just seemed like he attacked me, and we were like making out on the steps, and we were up against the wall, and it was a really hot night. But the only problem was that once it was over, I mean, we didn't really, I mean, it was kissing, a little head, but it didn't really go too far. I mean, I don't think he wanted it to go too far. I mean, I kept on trying to say, let's go upstairs to my apartment and get comfortable. And he said, no, I've got a busy day tomorrow, so I'll talk to you later. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, that was the third guy. But anyway, I would do this off and on. And most of the time when the guys would give me a ride home, that's about all it was a ride home, sort of maybe a kiss on the cheek, thank you, and goodbye. But the only problem was when I finally met Bobby and Todd. Now Todd sort of frequent the bar on a regular basis also, but I didn't know him at the time, but he noticed me. So anyway, when I first noticed Bobby, in my last video I told you about that the other guy that was sitting with him was Todd. And the reason why Todd was kind of suspicious of me, because he knew that I had this reputation of taking guys home with me, or going home with guys, not knowing that what actually went on. He just knew that I went home almost every night with a different guy. So of course I got the reputation in the bar as a hoe, because I went home with a different guy every night. Even though I didn't have sex with them, I just went home with them. I mean, I think there was a total about 3, 4 at the most. And in my opinion, I don't think that makes you a hoe. But anyway, and I would go to the club like every day, every Friday or Saturday for a month. So you do the math. So anyway, when I approached Bobby at the table, Todd wasn't too keen on the idea, because he was thinking I was making a move. And, I could sense this from him, but I could also sense that Bobby was really into me and was really interested to talk to me. And Todd kept on saying, "Oh, come on, Bobby, we need to go here." And he goes, "No, well, let's just stay and talk for a little while." So I ended up talking to Todd, and to make a long story short, we became the best of friends. I mean, especially when they moved into my apartment building, because they were living in Wheeling somewhere. And it's kind of hard for me to remember so far back, because I was 21. Bobby was like 20, and Todd was like 19. He was the youngest. But anyway, they were roommates, and they were living someplace in Wheeling, like up on the hill someplace. But something happened to their apartment building, and they had to move. So they knew that I lived in Wheeling on Main Street there, and they called me and asked me, and I said, yeah, we have an apartment here. So they came and moved in. So like I said, when they moved in, we became the best of friends. Even Todd, it seemed like, okay, they were both, I was interested in Bobby, but I never let him know it. I was just a friend. but deep down, I wanted to be more than friends. And I don't know if Todd caught those vibes from me, because he kept on trying to pull my attention his way. And because I remember this one, because that's the reason why I think he always wanted to perform his drag, routine for me, because he wanted to pull my attention away from Bobby. Because Bobby was more like the shy guy, and Todd was more the outgoing, flamboyant type. But it was like, I think Bobby knew I liked him, but at the same time, Todd was pulling. So they were like, sort of like playing this game with me, because, Todd would, every time I would come down to visit their apartment, Todd would go, oh, Joe, I'm glad you're here. I mean, I just worked out this new routine. I want you to see it and tell me what you think about it. And I would be like, okay, because I enjoyed watching his performance, because I was, like I said, musically inclined. I was part of the band. I was part of the theater. And I enjoyed this kind of thing. And to me, being a drag queen is theater. It's like you are performing on stage, and it's like another persona that you put on. And I sort of liked watching him go from Todd to Trisha. I think his drag name was Trisha. If not, we're going to call him Trisha. I mean, he'd go from Todd to Trisha, and Trisha would be like performing these songs for me, like Shania Twain songs and that. And I was just sort of enjoyed it. And then, like I said, we became like the three amigos. We would go, Todd, Bobby, and myself. Well, Todd was a drag queen, so he got invited to all the gay clubs in the area to perform when they had drag performances. So Bobby and I would go with him, and he would sometimes get us in for free because he was part of the show, or we would get free drinks because we were with one of the performers. It was sort of cool. But while I was at other bars, there was like we had a lesbian bar up the street, and Todd would perform there a few nights a week, and then he would perform in the gay club, because we had a gay club a few nights a week. And there was sometimes he would be invited to go to Pittsburgh and perform in some of their clubs up there. So yeah, we were like the three amigos. I mean, wherever Todd went, we went too. But then this is where I think Bobby was sort of getting jealous of because when I would go to the club, same old Joe, I have a couple drinks, get up on the dance floor, start, wiggling my stuff. And, I would start, making the moves on some of the cute guys up there. And I noticed that Bobby was getting jealous. And he never, ever got up on the dance floor. I mean, I would always go up and dance and start making moves on guys, and then the guys would dance with me. But Bobby ended up coming up and dancing. And I was like, Now, he never did this before until I start flirting with these other guys that I'm dancing with. So he would come up and sort of dance around me, and around us, sort of trying to pull my attention away from this other guy. And I would let him do it because I found it very cute. I really enjoyed his jealousy, because deep down I had deep down, I was falling in love with him. And I found it really endearing that he was showing me in his own way that he was starting to have the same kind of feelings, because I just found that kind of interesting. So anyway, like I said, we were the three amigos. And I told you about, I think it was my last video, talking about Mask and Femme, when I was down at their apartment. And we were just having drinks, having a few cocktails. And Todd was going through his routine. He was trying new makeup, trying new hairstyles. And he kept on asking me my opinion. I mean, you know, I liked it, but I wasn't really into it. And sometimes it would get on my nerves, but because he kept on trying to pull me away from Bobby and into his, because I don't know how he felt about me. I don't know if he had feelings for Bobby and he didn't want me to be in between that, or I don't know, but we all got along together fine. It's just that I can notice things about people, and I noticed that Todd would always try to pull my attention. When I showed too much attention to Bobby, he would try to pull it over to him, like saying, "Hey, Joe." So it was, so Todd and Bobby started making each other up, and I was sort of just giggling along, just enjoying watching them make each other up. And then they turned to me and said, "Joe, have you ever tried it?" And I said, "No." And like I told you, I tried it. But anyway, all three of us got a little close. Sometimes we got, I remember this one time, I don't know if I'm going to go there, but I will. But anyway, they always kept on they kept on asking me about my penis. And so this one night we got a little drunk and we put on some porno, and we just ended up having a little mass session right there watching the porno, checking each other out. We didn't touch each other at that time, but we just sort of checked each other out and everything, and got some giggles and shits and giggles about the whole thing. And that was one night. And then there was this one night that it went a little further. I don't know how it happened or why it happened, but we felt comfortable enough to experiment with each other. And that was the first time I ever saw an uncut penis. And I was kind of surprised, because I never saw one. And it was Todd, and I was just like, this is interesting. But anyway, there was no sex involved, just sort of like playing around with each other. But anyway, like I said, we became very close as friends and, goofing around partners. So I don't know where I was I don't even remember what the topic was about me growing up. But yeah, that's about going back. I don't like to think about me growing up. I like to remember the times when I finally accepted myself as gay, because living in the closet was hard. It was very lonely. It was very unfulfilling. There was a battle always going on inside of me that that I felt like I could never win. And I always felt so alone and so alone that, you know, that's why I had my imaginary friends. That's why I played with my G.I. Joes and pretended like, you know, this was me and this was my boyfriend and this is how we're going to be. And that was all I had an imaginary childhood because I was in the closet and I didn't know what it meant to be gay. I didn't know what it was like how it could be if I would come out. Or, I mean, I never did come out to people because for some reason, deep down, I mean, I find your sexuality is part of you, but it's nobody else's business but yours. As long as you accept yourself in your sexuality, it doesn't matter whether anybody else knows who you like to have sex with. You know, in my opinion. I mean, in my opinion, it was my personal thing that, you know, and there was never really anybody that I felt close. I mean, my parents passed away before I even just figured out myself and accepted myself that I was gay. They passed away before I even could have a chance to tell them. And my brother, I told him just because he was living with me. Now, my other brothers, they weren't living with me, so it wasn't really, you know, I didn't feel that it was my decision, my place to tell them, you know. But anyway, I hope you understood part of this video. I mean, there may be a lot of editing going on with this one because I really went really off topic. It's all like 37 minutes right now, and I don't even know what I was talking about. I just let myself go. So anyway, until next time, be kind to each other, take care, and I'll see you later. This is Joe. Bye.